You're listening to Blue Please, you're on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. To answer some questions that I've been getting, yes, Complain and Whine will be available as a separate download after the show. I can't imagine why you'd want that, but whatever. It's entirely up to you. And to answer other questions, yes, the tip jar is still open. If you wish to donate to the show, drop a couple of dollars in the tip jar. You are more than welcome to do so, and it is always appreciated. It's paypal.totalbiscuit@gmail.com. Right. It's time for the illusion of choice. As opposed to the illusion of choice. And of course, the rather rare, lesser spotted illusion of choice. Double negative, you know. Yes. I asked you a question, and that was... what's your worst random PUG experience? I've got a ton of answers, so let's talk a little bit about it for the last 15 minutes of the show. First one comes in from Mr. Bunkerface, and he says this. No, I can't do that. That's an actual illusion of choice. I'm going to keep that for next week's show, because that's really good. That's a good one. No, that's staying till next week's show. So we'll talk about that next week. This one is from Steve's from Khadgar, and he says this. My worst experience in the new dungeon system so far has been the looting system. Huh, really? Interesting. With the new system, you cannot need on items that you cannot wear, so mages can't roll on mail, etc. Oh, that's a shocker. Me and my group were in Draktheron Keep, and the BOE drop from Draktheron Keep dropped on the first set of trash. The warrior tank hit need. Personally, I don't see much of a problem there, but then the same item dropped a little later on the dungeon, the tank hit need again. This started the warlock, who asked the tank why he needed twice. The warrior replied, I need it. The warlock, like the rest of us, were thinking, but you needed it twice, and the warrior said, yeah, I need the gold. Now, I, being a mage, also could not, however. I passed on both items. However, this started an argument with the other 4 group members, and the warrior just said you nabs should have needed it too, which ultimately ended up in the group disbanding over a BOE blue. I didn't get enough time to suggest that we group kick the warrior, and then everyone has just left. Otherwise, it's a very good mechanic. It's an interesting point. The thing is, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong here, if it's a BOE item, you can need on it anyway, as I recall. Regardless of your class. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. If that's not the case, then that's got to be changed. Let's be totally honest. Because that's just silly. Now, the problem with the needing thing is that some people are going to need regardless. And this has been an issue with frozen orbs lately. And apparently, no, you can't need. So people are telling me in the IRC channel. Well, that needs to be changed to start with. BOE items... oh, no, Snapple Monkey says you can. There is a disagreement in the IRC channel, folks. Perhaps you should come and lay it to rest. irc.quakenet.org, the #pound WC Radio channel. Or click the chat button at the top of the screen on wcradio.com. A lot of people saying that you can't. Some people saying that you can. Drama. I don't know. One way or the other, I'll tell you how it should be. You should be able to need on anything that's BOE. Because let's be entirely honest here, most of the BOE items are garbage. Now, this happens with the frozen orbs. You need it all the time. And this is what I do in PUGs. I need frozen orbs all the time. Everyone needs frozen orbs because they can have it for cash or whatever. So I roll need because inevitably someone else is going to roll need. That's really the only way to do it. Now, personally, I think that's a reasonable way of doing things. I think you should all be able to need on BOEs, regardless of what they are. Because I don't know of all that many situations where everyone absolutely needs the BOA item. And most BOA items are garbage. But BOP, I'm absolutely fine with the system. Some people complain and say, oh, well, I could use that mail item. Well, all that shows really is a problem with itemization within the game if you're needing on mail when you wear plate. It's the fairest way to do it. Let's be honest. What else are you going to do? I don't know. I can't think of any other solution than the one that's currently there. Anyway, more stories. Nathan Townsend. Hey, TB, my story is nothing compared to yours. Well, I'm not going to read it then. Okay. On my Pally tank, my friend asked me to do some random dungeons with him to gear him up a bit more. He was in low-level epic gear and was just doing scrub nax 10 runs and a few heroics. When our group was put together, we got Halls of Lightning. Now, this was the group, rough group makeup. Tank, which was me, in mid-level gear. Tanking fine. My friend the Scrub, DK, was 700 DPS and doing single-target damage with Death and Decay. Look, how do you do single-target damage with Death and Decay? I mean, you'd have to move all the mobs away. That's weird. A hunter with full blues, 700 DPS that was ice-trapping random mobs and distracting short random mobs. Oh, at least he's trying CC. A rogue who used crippling poison because mobs need to be slowed and CC'd. Oh god. A disco priest who couldn't heal the tank, even though he had TOGC 10 and 25 gear level. What? Really? Wow. Now, after wiping on trash, yes, the healer couldn't handle a tank way overgeared for this content twice. I persevered and we finally got to the first boss. The DPS couldn't get the first ad down because the boss killed me due to lack of healing. How do you even... You can accidentally heal for more than that. Wow. It just goes to show that gear just gets given out to people who are absolutely incapable. Anyway, this one is from what's that? Zethor Sif or Zemna? And he says this. So, bad experiences, you say. One first in my mind is when a DPS decided to circumvent the long DPS queue by selecting that he was a tank, despite a complete lack of tanking gear. So we were stuck and able to kick him because of the 15-minute kick timer, and unwilling to leave and get the debuff because some self-centered ass wanted a faster queue. After the 15 minutes, we wanted to kick him, but at that point the healer had gone AFK. Sick of it, I cut my losses and left. That boggles the mind. Really. What did he think was going to happen? It's like, I want a DPS here. But nobody else can tank. I want a DPS! Yeah, but you've just wasted everyone's time, including yours. You can't do it. You can't tank this, because you're not wearing tank gear, or spec'd into tank... Oh, God, That's astonishing. That really is absolutely astonishing. Another one that sticks in my mind is the DPS DK in Heroic Forge of Souls. He was stacking spell power. What? Okay. But we were doing alright in the instance, so I didn't want to kick him. The tank calls him out on it, though, and says, you're doing less DPS than the tank, need to pick it up. The DK responded by saying, you're the tank, you're supposed to have higher DPS. Oh, there are not enough bullets, really. Oh, crap. That is terrible. That's really, really, really bad. Oh, well. Let's see what else we've got. Hey, this is Mike Man of the Knights Templar in Dragonblight EU. The stupidest moment in the LFG system is when I was healing Heroic Halls of Reflection, and suddenly the tank takes off the sword and shield, and carries on after the first wave. What? I was quickly trying to eat food and innovate myself, but after the third wave I couldn't carry on, and we wiped. I asked him why he did this, and he says, I just saw the achievement and wanted to get it. What achievement? What? That doesn't make any sense. This is infuriating, as I looked at the achievements and he only had 460, and then he voted to kick me saying the healer isn't good enough. What? No clue. I can top all your stories. This one's from Mortium of the Dread Army on Lothar US. He says this. My lock has been for the most part on the shelf since Ulduar. I've recently dusted him off, and I've really just been rotating him through with my other 280s for the Emblems of Frost. As such, I've been spending time leveling some of my alts. I'm a raid leader, and I try to understand each role in a raid from that role's perspective, if not class. About 3 weeks ago, while I was on my level 50 or something Druid Boomkin, I was in a random BRD group. We had all just teleported into the instance, and the first thing I do is look at the tank, and I've been running into quite a few Retidins since they can tank as Ret. Just as soon as I'm relieved to see that the tank has a shield, he spams a macro that says that we had better all well know our class or be prepared for lots of insulting that was signed by him and his guildmate Buddy, who was also in the group. Seeing something like that was rather off-putting. The tank then proceeds to do the first pull or two, and I notice he's rather mana-starved. I then notice he's running with Blessing of Might. Going WTF, I proceed to inspect him and look at his talents. Now, before I go any further, I would point out that I have a level 80 Tankadin that's geared in TOC 10, and has in fact tanked TOC 10. He has a ton of worthless to prot ret talents and is not taking Blessing of Sanctuary on top of his prot tree. My response at this point is, if you're going to have a macro that tells other people that they'd best know how to play their class or else, make damn sure that you know how to play yours, and your talent spec is optimal. The Warlock in the group backs me up. The tank then proceeds to insult me, pulls, and then ports out and back into the instance saying, go tank tree. He wipes the group. Fortunately, the Lock had the presence of mind to put a soul stone on me, and I res the party and ask the Lock to get out his Void Walker while I try to kick the arsehole. The kick function refuses to cooperate. Ugh. Before the Lock can switch to his demo spec, the tank pulls again. Sadly, this is the boss that we needed a bag of goodies from, and somehow we down her, getting the bag including for the arsehole tank. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, we actually had... You remember that PvP guy that was really terrible? He actually teleported out on the first boss of Utgard Keep. The really annoying thing is we could have done it as well. I was like, I shall tank it! And then the healer got ice-tombed. Damn. I could have done it otherwise. I know for a fact our healer could have kept me up. Terrible. Absolutely appalling. Wow. That's appalling. Let's see what else we've got. First things first, was the name of that 37 DPS warrior Sedan? I have no idea. The reason I ask is I used to do random dungeons to get some Stonekeeper shots, and I ended up in Agile Naru with a warrior with a two-handed weapon with no weapon skill. He did around 27 DPS. That's not bad enough. Our bear tank had bad gear and never tanked before. And to end it all, we had a paladin who didn't even move. The result, we wiped after the first 6 mobs. I held a lot of bad situations with bad groups, but this one was just impossible. So that's my worst random dungeon group. That's from Lance DH. It could have been, you know. I can't remember, honestly. I don't pay attention to the names of such people. I just call him the 37 DPS warrior, because that's what it was. This one's from Xanis, and he says this. Hey TB, long time listener, first time email. I am a DK and one of the top geared tanks in my guild. So I ran a random group to gear up my feral DPS spec druid ult a few days ago and rolled a heroic COT. We got this DK tank. My god, he had a mismatched set of DPS, PvP, and defense gear on. His spec had about 20 points in each tree. Yeah, omni-spec. Yeah, I love people like that. I don't actually, I want them to die. My first thought was, does this guy know anything about the class? When we started pulling, he couldn't hold aggro worth a damn. Even the healer pulled threat just from healing. At that point, I shifted into bear form and picked up the mobs and tried to give this DK some pointers, but it seemed like it went into one ear and out the other. It's a DK, of course it did. After our first real wipe, I noticed he was trying to tank with unholy presence on. For whatever reason, I have no clue. This DK made me want to cry, that's how bad it was. We vote-kicked him and got a more competent tank in his place, and the rest of the instance went smoothly. And that is the worst experience I've had in the random dungeon system. People don't listen, yeah? They are indignant. They believe that they are absolutely right no matter what they do. They just don't listen to advice. At all. I had a warlock at one point. He was doing terrible DPS. And we were in a primarily caster group, and he was putting on Curse of Agony on mobs. Bear in mind, these are mobs that are dying in like 10 seconds or less. Alright, well, okay, are you seriously telling me that is more DPS than a Curse of Elements? In a caster-heavy group? Are you serious? Don't be ridiculous. Obviously, that's the optimum way to go. But no, he wouldn't listen. Of course not. It's like, well, why don't you try this? No, he's not going to listen because, hey, it's his subscription. He can do what he wants, right? Doesn't affect anyone else, except for when it does. Ugh. Appalling. Utterly appalling. Sadly, that's the way of things, folks. People are incredibly stupid. And the random PUG system doesn't change that. They are still incredibly stupid. And in fact, you get to experience a more exotic form of stupid from outside your realm. And indeed, I believe people just don't concentrate in random PUGs these days. Because, of course, what are the consequences other than a 15-minute wait? Not even that. My name is Salt Biscuit. You have been listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. I've got a couple of minutes for shout-outs. Send them in to themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Alternatively, irc.quakenet.org. Send me a message on there. My name is Total Biscuit. I'm in the channel #pound WC Radio. Alternatively, send me a tweet if you wish to be Web 2.0. Now, I did have a shout-out here. Yes, where is it? It was in one of these Illusion of Choices. I'm trying to remember exactly where. Maybe it was this one. No, not that one. Okay. Let's see where it is. Find it. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. It has disappeared. Here we go, yes. It's a shout-out to Mark Clevin, Marilyn, Torandoza, and all my pals on Chandris US. That is from Zerthal, Sif, and Zemna. Can we get an unshout-out? Okay. An unshout-out to a paladin who did 700 DPS in full tier 9 gear. That's from Rico. That's what you get for giving idiots really good stuff. Doesn't make them any better. Shout out and Happy New Year to you and my best buddy Looper. That's from Steve's on Cadgar. PS, will there be a show next week? Yes. And indeed in the near future. There are no plans to stop the show. Can I get a shout to Storm Tamer? What a great guy. That's from Mike Man. Yes, you can, and I will endorse that particular thing. A shout out to Absolute Vodka for providing me with a fantastic New Year's Eve. That's from Slam On. Happy New Year to all. That's from Nymph. And a shout out to Reborn on Doomhammer EU in the mountains. In the mountains, you say? Impossible.
In the mountains.
There you go. What else have we got? A shout out to me. That's John, aka Sonic X0. It's his 23rd birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to you. I'd like to get a shout out to me for owning 7 battered... What? 7 battered hilts? Are you serious? Wow. We've never even seen one. And 1 Queldalar. I've made so many people's hit list, I now live in a bunker. Hey, it's a BOE item. It's a PUG, it's a BOE item, roll need. That's from Sillyfish of Moonguard US. There you go, you can add him to your hit list. And a shout out to Hatbar from Steam Weedle Cartel EU. And a shout out to Sek of Lemon Cake for being the best healer I know on the realm. And Mindia for being the best TK tank. Or even DK tank. Might be TK. My name is Total Biscuit. You have been listening to Blue Please on WoW Radio. Thank you ever so much for listening. Please check out the rest of our shows on WCRadio.com. You can download the archives via iTunes or the website. And if you do like the show, it is very much appreciated when you leave a tip in the tip jar. Any amount is absolutely fantastic. It's totalbiscuit@gmail.com via PayPal. I am out of here, folks. I will be back at the same time next week with another Blue Please. Happy New Year, and good night.